Hi everybody, Gisele Grenier here from artplace.ca. For today's workshop, I'm doing something I've never done before. I'm going to be doing this workshop based on an image I found. I'm going to display it on my tablet, and I'm going to show you how to transfer a drawing. It's basically, I'm kind of going back old school 50-50. Old school that I sometimes take it for granted that all of you watching know how to use my grid system or can freehand sketch anything and stuff like that. And you know, I apologize for assuming that all the time. So I'm going to show you how to create a line drawing and then transfer it onto one of the book of backgrounds or whatever you want using very little tools. At the same time, many of you have been, hopefully you don't get a glare, many of you have been asking me about this website where I get a lot of my reference photographs from, and it's morguefile.com, morguefile.com. And these are photographs that you are free to use to create pieces of artwork, and you don't need to pay a fee, nothing. These are people, and you could even, if you have pictures that you'd like to contribute, you can upload them. Just go to the website, you can read all the information. So for this particular idea I had, as we're going to be doing a nice pasta meal for supper with a nice breaded cutlet, and just I was thinking, oh man, I should have went out and bought a nice bottle of wine, because you know, pasta and a bottle of red goes well together. So that's kind of inspired me for this piece. So the first thing I do anytime I go through my stash of photographs, and if I don't have what I'm looking for, I'll go then through my idea book. I'll then go through my tablet for stuff that, for photographs that I've accumulated. And then even then, if I don't find what I want, I go to Morguefile. So I went to Morguefile and I typed in, the query was just red wine glass. That's it, nothing else. So I was searching and searching, and I found this one here, and this is the one that I'm going to use. Oh, I guess that doesn't work that way. So I'm going to use this one here. Okay, and if I go here and find it, there it is. So this is the one that I'm going to use. Okay, and there it is. Now you're going to have a ton of glare. So that's the one I'm going to be working from. And you may be thinking, oh my God, you can't paint this in an hour. Well, we can if we're going to be painting it in an impressionistic style. Okay, brush strokes, rough and loose. We're going to keep it free and fun. And I thought this would be a really, really good piece to work with, because I can go back to my colors that I use for my traditional palette and sort of think of this as a fine art for beginners lesson. Okay, now you can print this if you want. You can print it. What I would suggest is, if you have a graphics program like Photoshop or Photoshop Elements, something from Corel, or I think Photoshop has a free version online you can use. If you load the picture, create it into a black and white or a line drawing, and just print out the line drawing. And even if because you don't want to waste all this red on your printer, so you want to just print it at the cheapest quality. You don't want anything fancy, okay? Because then you can use that if you keep your computer monitor. That would, because we can save on paper. I'm just going to move my paints out of the way, and hopefully my big bottle of burnt sienna will hold my tablet up. I don't know. And then, so I just got a photograph. I did print a photograph, and I put tracing paper. Ooh, rebel. I put my tracing paper on top of the photograph, and I traced it with a charcoal pencil. Okay, a charcoal. Medium or soft. Medium is really good. So I traced it, okay, with the charcoal pencil. Then what I did, because I'm painting this on one of my book of backgrounds that's facing left, I want the wine glass on the outside of the page. If you want the wine glass on the inside of the page, what you will do, okay, so you've traced it, trace it with graphite, then you're going to turn it over, then trace it again with your charcoal pencil. Okay, so if you want the wine glass this way, trace it with graphite, then turn it, and then go back over those lines with the charcoal. Okay, if we're going to flip the glass, we want it on the left. We can actually trace our image with the charcoal pencil. What you want to do is whatever side you want it on, the side that's going to be facing the paper, that's the side you want the charcoal on. So I put the photograph underneath and I traced it. I traced everything. This here I double checked with a ruler because this has the horizon line has to be precise, or the table edge. I flipped it over, lined it up, and I made little marks just to make sure that I was correct on that. Then I took a very fine point stylus. So right now the charcoal is underneath. Then I went over everything. I just retraced the drawing. Now, if your book of backgrounds piece, if you're actually doing it on a book of backgrounds, it's very textured. Be aware of how much pressure you're using. You don't want to damage your piece. What you want to do is you're just using enough pressure. Just do a line and then check it, which is going to transfer the graphite to your paper. If you're doing it on, if you're doing this on, let's say, a white canvas or whatever, the actual video that I used for this book of backgrounds will be at the end of this video, so you can go back and refer to it. Okay, so you're just going to go over, and then what you'll end up with, and I don't know if the camera will be friendly to me and focus on something, you'll end up with a very, very fine line, which is your drawing that's been transferred. Okay. So at this point, what you can do, if you're like me and you can't see very well, you can go back with the same charcoal pencil and just go over the lines that are important to me. The horizon line or the table edge is critical. And I'm just going to go over everything just so for video purposes so you can see. I don't want to make these too dark because it is going to be a wine glass and I don't want smudges. Okay, shadow, and because we're still going to do something with the background. See, now I can't see this part. And if you're hearing funny noises in the background, that's Mia chewing on her bone. And I stuck one of her training treats inside the bone, like really, really hard. It's one of those rollover bones, and the marrow she had fussed it out. It's kind of like it was wiggling back and forth. So I stuffed one of her treats deep inside, and she's been working on that for 25 minutes. She's going to be one tired puppy when she's finished. And Miss Chaos is giving herself a bath, and she's sitting in the window behind me. There we go. So how's that looking? Now I saw at the store these are really amazing wine glasses that were like in a blue. They were blue, really pretty. So you can make your glasses any color you want. So there we go. Hopefully you can see that okay. Okay, there we go. Now, for the actual piece, again, like I said, I flipped it, and because I'm doing this on a book of background, I don't need to do a lot with the background whatsoever. It's good the way it is. So what I'm going to do is, because I want the background to show through the glass, okay? So once that's done, you can take your pencil and put it aside. If you're fussy about losing your line drawing, you can spray it with a coat of Spectrafix, which is a non-toxic fixative you can use indoors. And you can spray it if you want, but I wouldn't worry about it because you can always retransfer. If this gets wet, let it dry, and you can always retransfer this if need be. Okay? Now, so once that's done, supplies for painting, it's not going to be anything too complicated. These are the colors I brought out. Whether these are the colors I'm going to use is another story. My tablet just split. I'm going to put my glass of orange Mio in front of it. There we go. So for paints, I'm using DecoArt Traditions Artist Acrylic Paints, and everything I actually use will be at the end of the video. So if I start bringing things out, you don't need to take notes. What I actually use will be at the end. So what I've got is I've got Permanent Alizarin Crimson, Actually, let's go back. Wrong order. Ultramarine blue, permanent alizarin crimson, naphthol red light, Paranone orange, Hansa yellow light, burnt sienna, and titanium white. Usually when I'm using naphthol red light, I will go with a Hansa yellow medium because the Hansa yellow medium is a yellow that it leans a bit more to the orange side. Yeah, Hansa yellow light leans a bit more to the green. For this particular one, I wanted a very bright, intense yellow. I've got my white here, and I've also got some extender and blending medium. May need it, may not, I don't know. If we're doing an impressionistic style, the impressionists didn't have blending medium way back then, so it would sort of be the wrong thing to use, but I want to make this easy for you. A ruler was simply to double check the table line. It has got to be perfectly square to the page. Okay. Oh, chaos is coming for a visit. Okay. And you have your stylus. We've already covered that off. Now for brushes. You don't need all these brushes. I'm just grab them. Use whatever brushes you have. Whatever you do, do not use your absolute best brushes if you're working on a page that's textured. So just to say you didn't follow the actual book of backgrounds for, like, I'm going to put this here so it doesn't, oh, it's still glary. Let's say you didn't follow this book of backgrounds, you're using a different background that you've already prepared. If it's very textured, use less expensive brushes. Don't use expensive brushes because we're going to be doing a lot of brush stroke. You don't want to wreck your brushes. So I'm going to be using for this one my Royal Fusion only because all my Majestic and my Sable Tex are wet and drying from other pieces of artwork. So my soft grips I use for a lot of the rough mixed media stuff. So they don't have the nice chisel edge that these do, and these are really, really soft. So what you want for this, you want a couple of big flats, some medium, some small, and you want I wouldn't say a script liner like the one with the really long things, but just get a half decent liner because we have to outline the highlight behind here. So like I said, whatever I do use will be listed at the end of the video. And some type of blending brush. My mop brushes are also all drying. So I've got these little really neat little brushes here, mini mops, and this is oh darn, a Sabline, I think this is a Sabline brush. No, I don't know now. I forgot. But these are nice just to do some soft blending if need be. These must be used, for what I'm going to show you, they must be used dry. And if possible, have more than one, because when you blend it, and once you're done, this has to go to water immediately. And you don't want, and because it has to be used dry, you can't wash it and then go back to it. It has to be dry. And these are very inexpensive. Alrighty. As well, my brush buckets over here. I've got my palette paper here. So what I'm going to do now is going to put my paint on the palette. And the first thing we're going to do, assuming you've got some type of background going, we're going to glaze the background to get some dimension and some good values in there. So I'm going to grab my big number 1 brush, glaze brush, big brush. Okay, and I've got some blending medium right here, which is making its way towards the paint. What I want to do is, following the photograph, keeping in mind that it's backwards, I'm going to brighten this area up a little bit here. And I'm just going to put this blending medium over the whole piece. And it's going to give us time to do a lot of blending. That's why I wasn't too worried about the drawing being lost. So make sure you're only doing everything above the table line. Okay. Now, what you want to do is, because you want to work with some transparent paints, let me just put these out here. They're all transparent except for burnt sienna. So the alizarin crimson I absolutely love. It's more on the blue side. The naphthol red light is more on the orange side. I wanted to get something in between. Well, that's nice. And then what we're going to do is just put a glaze, not even close. It's very close to what's there. Okay, we want a little bit more red. See that? A little bit more red, and we're just going to go up and down. And the reason we want it transparent is because we don't want to lose all this work we did behind the scenes. We don't have to do a lot of painting. It's already been done. And now in the photograph, because I flipped it, so you kind of have to think of the flip, it's very dark here. Then there's a band of red. Then it's very dark behind the glass. You don't have to do all that. You don't have to do the dark, the light, the dark, the light. So it's up to you how much you want to do. And because I've got some beautiful action here. So if we do want to do something a little bit dark, I can take what's in my brush, go into a little bit of ultramarine blue. Alizarin Crimson Ultramarine Blue makes an awesome purple. Let's see if that's going to be dark enough. Not really. Let's go a little bit darker. A bit more blue. Oh, now we have a real purple. Now we're going to hit it with a little bit of burnt sienna. Ultramarine blue and burnt sienna. If it's more blue, it looks like a Payne's gray, which is a beautiful blue-black, blue and brown. Okay, then this is why I have more than one brush. Now I'm going to go into red. Just take the red and go right back into this. What is that? Oh, that's gesso from the last project. And we're just going to put red over here, like so. Then we can just load a little bit of alizarin crimson, and we'll go right beside here. Okay. Now get the other brush and go back into the dark, and go right here. You don't have to do this, but it looks really nice. Now, because we put the extender on, the blending time is going to be extended. And we have a bit of time to blend. Get your blending done. I'm going to fade that out this way. Then I'm going to take the other brush and just going to go over this, then over this. And once you've got your blending done, let it dry. Okay, so it should look something like this. So I'm going to let that dry. Now, because I have the extender on there, we're looking at probably about 10 minutes. Okay, so we're back now. Now, I kind of got sidetracked. My intention was just to let this dry and come back to it. Well, it's 3 days later now. At the weekend, it was beautiful weather, so I decided in the studio I was going to do some cleaning instead of some painting. But now we're back to this. So we're looking at this now, and you should still see your line drawing. If not, you can retransfer it. Now remember, we're going to be painting this more in a style, not as a realistic style. My style is not painting something to make it look like a photograph. I'm more of an impressionist, and when I'm really feeling funky, I'm more on the abstract. So, but if you like to paint something that's more realistic, then just spend more time with your blending. Okay, we are going to do some blending with this. So before we do anything else, what I'd like to do is try to establish the real darks in here. We did get some of the glazing darks in here. Now, if you don't have any definitive lines, if you're painting this on a regular background, you can put some shapes in there, but I can still see like the details underneath. And that's just beautiful. I love that. It's a bit shiny for me, but it's really pretty. What I want to do is I want to start outlining a little bit of the glass to get the form in there. And when I look at the photograph, now you look at the photograph that I provided to you. On this side here, it is a little bit darker, and you think of glass as being white. People think glass is white. It's not. It's transparent. All you're really doing is a slightly, depending on where the light's hitting, a slightly darker version of what's already there. So because this part here is a little bit in shadow, we're going to be putting a little bit of dark here, and then the line here starts off dark where the wine is. It starts off dark, then it gets lighter, then it hits with the yellow and then around, and then here it's a bit of a highlight of red that comes around, and it's yellow in here. So think of it that way, but again, don't worry too much about being perfect, because it's not about being perfect. So what I'm going to do is I'm looking at this, and I'm not going to hit it with like a black. I'm going to hit it with a blue and a bit of alizarin crimson and a little bit of blending medium, and which we already know that makes a slight violet. Oh, and now if you want to help you with the blending, you can load a dry brush with the blending medium and just put it down here first, and that'll help. That'll also help with the blending. And I'm not going past the line because I don't want the paint to seep out. So just like this, you can use water as well, but water evaporates really fast. Okay, you see what I did? Just like so. And then come in here, and I'm just getting that started. See that? Now it is a bit shiny, nothing I can do about that. And where that comes around here, now I'm looking at the photograph on my tablet, and there's a terrible glare. So I'm kind of wiggling back and forth. Okay, I'm going to pick up a little bit more and just going to deepen that slightly. Okay. And you see how slow I'm working? And the round brush, it's almost like a flat. See? See, I load it. Okay, but I'm not rolling. I'm loading it. Okay, and it brings it to almost like a flat. It's like a filbert. Look at that. This is a filbert brush. But this is beautiful for blending. It is so critical that you use good brushes when painting. It does help quite a bit. It does help. Now here it's a little bit wider. So I'm just going to bring that out a little bit and soften that. Okay, just like so. See that? And just, oh, I don't have any blending medium there. Oh, I think this is water. I think I picked up water by mistake. I'm just going to put a speck right here. Now I'm going to bring the brush to a point. I need to get right underneath here. Like so. Okay. And I'm just going to bring that out. I need to make this even darker right down here. See, that's the beauty with this, with the blending medium, the traditional blending medium. This is like glazing with oils. Okay, see that? Now let's let that sit for a spell, and I also see. Now I'm going to go to a little round brush. Now I'm going to come in here. And I do see a little bit of dark right in there. So I'm just going to put a little bit of this dark. I'm run out of paint, so let's make up some more. Now you can also put the blending medium right in the paint itself. Sometimes I want to use the paint dry. So for this it's just easier just putting the putting the blending medium into the paint when I need it. Now I put a little bit too much blending medium there. It's not quite taking. Okay. And right here. So let's say we got this area here and we need to blend it out a little bit more. You can always go back with the same small brush and just wiggle back and forth. And what you're doing is you're wiggling to bring the paint away from where the darks are. like here, I can load with the blending medium, pick up a little bit of the dark, and come right in here and just wiggle, like so. Now it's very, very dark right here, so I'm going to put a little bit of burnt sienna right there. It's still not quite dark enough. A little bit of burnt sienna in with the mix, a little more ultramarine blue, and what you end up with is a Payne's gray. And you know what I should have had? If you really want the darks to be like really dark, I was just thinking we have alizarin crimson. Phthalo green would have been good in there too. And now I'm just going to very, very dark right here. Very, very dark. And now I'm just going to lightly go over the edge. The drawing will also act as part of the design. And I'll put a bit more dark right in there. And right in here, I'm going to put this one in dry because this is very dark right here. So it's just basically blocking in the darks, almost like a coloring book or like one of those comic book animations. Okay. So I'll rinse that brush. I'll rinse my filbert brush. Now, same brush here, I'm going to pick up a little bit of blending medium and go into the mix here, the one where the ultramarine blue and burnt sienna. Now right here, I'm going to take some blending medium. That's way too much blending medium. That's way too much blending medium. Let me just blot that a little bit. So now I want to put in the shadow. So the shadow actually comes under the glass a little bit. And then it actually comes right here. So like this. And around. And it's in the middle, quite a bit in the middle. Again, round. And I'm going to go where the parts where the light is, I can always come back and hit it with a light. So let's just put this color right on top of everything. And this has to go right into the glass. And it comes in right there. There is the dark right under the stem. And then, oh, there goes the furnace. And then I'm going to take a bit more blue, a little touch of burnt sienna. And I'm going to go into a little bit of alizarin crimson. So I just want to really enhance the darks. So you can see I'm just kind of doing the sketching round and round. And don't be too worried about being perfect with the shadow. Okay, we get the general idea. With the same mix on the brush now, I'm going to come back here. And it's just going to deepen this a little bit. Just to show you I can still do some beautiful blending. Look at that. Now, why is this important to be able to do this kind of blending? Because if you want to be able to paint glass, metal, people, stuff that has a very very smooth surface. You need to know how to blend. And not everybody can work with oils. So if you master the use of blending medium, you'll be all right. Pick up a little bit of blending medium, a little bit more. Now see here, I'm blending and the paint's coming off. It's because it's just starting to tack up and I disturbed it. So what I need to do now is I need to leave it alone. I'm going to hit it with the heat gun for a sec. Now it's dried. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? Okay. So now we're just basically going to repeat the same thing over again and rinsing my brush. Even the brush that had the blending medium, I'm just going to wipe that down. This smeared a little bit. Not worried about it. So now I'm going to take, I can try with this brush. Let's go with a little brush. So now I'm going to use my big brush for the blending medium. And let's go into the stem now. Let's go, where is it? Where's my lines? Where's my lines? And, oops, I went too far. Try to control your blending medium so it doesn't go past the line, because the paint will sometimes tend to follow. And when I did my sketch, or my paint glazing, I didn't quite go down far enough, so I'll have to do a little bit of adjustment so I can come back here. Okay. All the stuff that's happening here will be mostly transparent. Where's my line? Sorry, I'm just kind of lifting. I'm lifting the drawing to my face just so I can see where the lines are. Something like that. Okay. And okay. Now you have more time than I do, so take your time when you know, looking at your piece. I'm going to put a little bit more blending medium right in here, and you have to decide too, where do you want your glass line to end, and mine's going to be right about here, so I'm going to make that straight across. I'm going to come back to this in a bit. All right, so now we're going to take that same mix again, and now we're just going to just carefully outline that. Okay. Oh, and I forgot to tell you, I was going to do an actual painting down here with the orange. Because we brought the dark only to this line, there's nothing to do on the table, but the paint did come down a bit, so I'm going to do a little bit of adjustment right in here. Now on this side, just put a little bit of a dark in here anyways, because when the glass goes around, the light doesn't hit it as much. We are going to highlight this side, but just get a little bit of dark right in here, because the glass is much thicker here. It's the stem. I'm going to go to a bigger brush. I'm going to make a bit more paint up. So burnt sienna, or ultramarine blue, a little bit of burnt sienna. If you have Payne's gray, use that if you want to save some time. A little bit of alizarin crimson, and then some blending medium. Just make sure that it's mixed really well together. The blending medium, you don't want to pick up too much of that. There we go. That's much better. Okay. And I have to fix this here. Turn that very dark right in there. Okay. We'll blend that out. See? You start here, then you bring the brush over, and then you bring the brush over. Okay. And as you bring the brush over each time, it gets thinner and thinner and thinner. And then you can come back and gently blend it. Just remember that when the paint starts to tack up, you need to leave it alone. Now you could also come in here with a mop brush and just tickle the top with a mop brush. Not everybody has a mop brush, so that's why I haven't bothered to do that. I'm going to come in now, I'm going to rinse my brush, and I'm just going to take the brush, I blotted it, and I'm just going to pad. So this is like the makeshift mop brush. Like so. Just make sure you don't lose that nice dark that's there. Okay. And I'm going to take some water now with this very, very thin purple. I'm going to add a little bit of red to it. A little bit more water. And right across the line here. Just going to hit with a little bit more red right in the center. Okay, and a little bit more purple over here. So where it's dark, you're going to accentuate those darks. And if you do it with just only alizarin crimson, it's going to be way too bright. Now for that wine line, it has to be not perfectly straight across. It comes on a bit of an angle. I just picked up a little bit of dark so you could see. Like so. Okay, don't forget the glass is curved. That's too much of an angle. It's just a slight curve. Come in with the dark. And we're just going to, on this side as well. Okay. And I'm going to go to a smaller brush in those darks, and I want to basically, you could wait for this to dry. I'm just gonna gonna dry brush the smallest line, and really all I'm doing is covering up the pencil line. You only have one layer of glass right here, so it's going to be this is going to be more transparent. And we're going to hit it with a little bit of light. I can't see my pencil line. Now I'm not making this as impressionistic as I was planning, because I'm kind of liking the way this is turning out. Now where it's wet, it's making the glass look really, really crooked. So you can let it dry if that gives you a little bit of trouble. Okay, a little bit of dark there. On here, a little bit of dark here. Just look at the photograph and think of, don't think of the painting, the curve of the wine glass, whatever. Just paint shapes. But remember that all you're doing inside the glass, you're just making whatever's in the background a little bit deeper. Now in the photograph right here, like don't forget it's flipped. So technically this part here is supposed to be really dark, but it's light for me. So I'm going to be using the photograph as my marker, but I'm only where the darks are, that's what I'm accenting. Hopefully that makes sense. Like right here, if the photograph showed that this is dark, but I didn't make it dark, then I'm not going to do it. I'm only going to, where behind the glass, where it's dark, that's what I'm deepening. All right. And I think what I want to do, I want to do a little bit on the bottom. I'm going to take my fusion brush, a little bit of blending medium. I'm going to go into a little bit of orange, a little bit of yellow, and right here, like remember it's flipped, so where the shadow part is, I'm going to be putting a little bit more light. I'm going to take a little bit of water to the blending medium. Oh, and make sure, and I just noticed I did it, make sure that when you do take the orange and purple, the orange and yellow in your brush, don't mix into purple, because that's opposite on the color wheel and it's going to make your paint very dark and dull. So it's probably going to be better if you just make up some fresh paint. So here, just put a little bit of a glaze of paint there. Now because the paints are transparent, I'm not going to actually get to cover what's here. So use it to your advantage. So I can pick up a little bit of red and I can just a little bit of a streak. Make it consistent though, so go all the way across. Pick up a little bit of blending medium. And all I'm doing is I'm unifying, because when I was doing the lines coming down, they went a little too far. And pick up a little bit of crimson, and I did a little bit more blending medium. And what is I need? Just a couple of drops. Just going to deepen this corner a little bit. Rinse the brush and go back into the crimson with the blending medium. And I'm going to go straight across. Avoiding the glass area. I rinsed the brush because I may have had some of the orange in there. Okay. Now I just want to show you what happens when you glaze. Pick up a little bit more crimson. Just to show you what happens when you're painting, just to show you with the drying. Now don't do this. I'm doing this because it's going to get very, very hot and you don't want to put your heat gun too long when it gets hot. But I want to show you what happens when it dries. So when you're painting and if there's a lot of wet going on and you're saying, oh, it doesn't look right, let it dry. And I'll show you what I mean. Let's look at this area specifically. Now watch. Watch the shine and what happens when it evaporates. Okay, it's getting very hot, so but see how fast that's evaporating? I'm going to pull away a little bit. I don't want to burn. I've been doing this for so long. I know how the heat gun works with the paint and the paper. Very, very hot, pull back. Very, very hot, pull back. Now, if you're doing this in an art journal and you've done collaging on the back, be very careful because you might actually melt the glue, depending on the type of glue you used. Look at this part here. See how that dries? It darkens up. So before you make any massive decisions about an area that you've painted that you may not be happy with, let it dry. Here we go. Okay. Now I did notice I did go a little bit dark here, which is fine. But now guess what? It's time to start putting in some light. I'm gonna rinse my brushes. And I'm gonna go to the filbert. And I'm gonna take a little bit of blending medium. I'm gonna take my big wash brush. I'm gonna damp it in some water. Go into that blending medium. Now let's hit this area with a little bit of light. Okay, just this area here. I'm going to actually stick with the same brush. Orange. Okay, let's go a little bit of yellow. Transparent yellow iron oxide would have been just perfect with this. Oh, and also, when you're painting with basically yellow and oranges going over a kind of like a bluish red background, when you're picking up water with orange and yellow, don't go into the dirty water that had the purple paint water in it, because you're going to contaminate your brush if you want really clean colors. Take a little bit of red, and I'm just going to spat some red. Look at that. Wowsies. Just like so. This I'm not going to overly blend, because it's the bottom of the curtain. I am going to make sure that lines up with the table though. And you know what I just did? Picked up paint on my hands. And I'm wearing a beautiful spring top. I'm asking for trouble. I'm asking for trouble. And now I'm just kind of wiggling over. See? Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. You can pick up a little bit of crimson. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. And what this is just going to do is make like the ripples in the drapes. Just don't overblend it. Okay, like that. This needs to be much darker, so I am going to rinse my brush, and while it's wet, I'm going to pick up more crimson, more blue. Okay, I'm going to take a little bit of blending medium, just a couple of drops right on the page with the large brush, and just go on the side, right down to the bottom of the table. All right. And because it's wet now, the paint is going out this way, okay? Which is why you only put the blending medium where you want the paint to go. Now down here, this is where I probably should have went with the flat brush. But no point in dirtying another brush if we don't have to. Okay. And these paints are non-toxic, so you can get your fingers right in there. I can take the initial brush that I was using for the blending, and just go beside. Okay. And same thing here, I'm going to wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Pick up a bit more paint, wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Like so. it is going to be very hard to see. Just putting a little bit of red. It's very dark here, but I'm just putting a little bit of red in just to get some action. Okay, so now I'm going to dry this. All right, it's still a little bit wet there. Now I want to start hitting it with a little bit of highlight. So I'm going to take the round brush and I'm going to go into some yellow. And we'll see if that's going to be enough. I'm using this more opaquely. Where's the edge of that glass? I have to bring that right to the edge. Just got a battery notice on my tablet. Bring that right to the edge, to the outside edge of the glass. It needs to be yellow. I'm going to go in a little bit of white now. We need the opacity. Right there, that's where the light is hitting, right here. Where is that glass edge? Still didn't go far enough. Because it's so transparent, I can't see what I'm doing. All right. And I'm going to take some white. There's a big hit of white right here. Right there. There's also a hit of white right here. There's also a hit of white, yellowy white, right here. Right there. And if at all possible, let the paint break. And what I mean by break is when you drag the brush across and the paint doesn't come into a fluid line, let it break. See, that's broken. So let me see if I can get a really good close-up. That's broken. Okay, it's not, see, this is a fluid line here. This is broken, where it looks really rough. So the yellow on the brush, and I picked up some white. And I'm going to let this dry before I go over it a bit more. And I'm going to go into a little bit of orange, because now, a little bit of orange and white. Make sure I don't get any paint on me there. Okay. And I'm loading it more with the white because I need the opacity to come back in with the yellow, because it's a big spot of yellow right here. I'm going to rinse that brush. I'm going to go to my little script liner brush, and I'm going to go into orange and white. Roll, roll, roll. Make sure there's no water on there. And I'm just going to hit there. That dried instantly. Okay. And where you're seeing the little hits of light, that's all you're going to do. You're just going to put that in. Okay. I'm going to bring a little bit more here because this is more yellowy. So I got to get that base in there first. Because the paints are transparent, when you put a base of white first, instant helpfulness. Right here is the biggest bright spot right here. And I'm also going to be putting a big highlight right in here. So I'm going to block that in with the white, the orangey white, because we're going to overlay yellowy orange on top of that. And it'll really stand out. So everywhere where you see a reflection, you're going to be putting this orangey white onto it. So really take a look. Oops, that's too big. Okay. And if your glass is a little bit crooked, it's not the end of the world. It's really pretty. Where's my little filbert? I should load up a smaller filbert. Just making that a little bit cleaner. Wipe out the brush. That's faded out ever so slightly. Now, if you find that it helps as you turn your pieces around like this, turn your reference material upside down if that helps. Okay, and just a little bit here. Beautiful. This part here is not a real reflection. It's just a little the way that the light's refracting through the stem. And because there's a curtain behind, it kind of looks like this. I'm going to clean up that line a little bit. So don't forget, now what we're doing is we're putting in the white in order to hold the golden yellows. All right, and is that dry? Not quite. Just going to hit it with the heat gun for just a second. And while that's drying, I'm going to take my little filbert. I'm going to make sure it's clean, free from all white, because I need to do a little bit of a glaze of red right here. Now the one color that I thought I'd be using a lot more, and I'm not, pure, is the orange, because I'm not liking the way it's looking. But look at that, a beautiful red. Orange is a funny color when you're using it. Now don't forget, through here, okay, you've got 2 layers of glass. You've got the front part of the glass, behind, and then you've got the wine. So it is going to be a little bit darker in here, which is why I'm going over with red. Okay. And I did not make my glass the right width here. I can still fix that. I didn't make it the right width. So you may want to retransfer your line drawing if you have trouble seeing the lines. Okay. So that's fine. That's fine. That's looking good. A little bit of red. Whoops. A little bit of red here. I'm using the paint more pure. Now this is where the painterly style is starting to come in. Okay. Not going to do much down here because I'm going to be taking the advantage of the table to work with the colors, other than just putting a little bit of transparent color in there. And I want to take some of that red. Now I'm going to take a little bit of speck of water, or the medium, and I'm going to write in here. Not as much as here though. A little bit more water. And I'm just going to bring that right to here just to brighten up the area a little bit, not too much, because it is a dark curtain behind. And because there's a curtain behind, you don't want it to be a perfect gradation. Let some texture show through, and through here we have one layer of glass, so we can brighten it up with a little bit of red as well. Okay. I'm going to take a little bit of red and put a little bit more here. Now I'm going to fix the glass. Now I'm going to take a little brush, because my glass is not the right shape. And it's not the right shape because I couldn't see the lines. So I'm going to take blue and crimson, a little bit of sienna, and a little brush, and just, there is a reflected light, so I'm going to come around here on the very, very outside. Where the glass is curved, it's just slightly darker. Because you can always come back in and add more light. Where's my line? And make sure it's dark right here. Okay, I'm going to quickly dry that, because I need to go back over now with the white. The orangey white, just a little bit. Right here. And having the line broken is a good idea at this point as well. Okay. The paint is getting quite dry on the palette, so it's time to freshen it with water. And we're almost done though, so let's just see how far we can go. I'm using the paint very dry now, and I'm just going back and going back and going back where the highlights are the strongest. Don't forget, acrylics dry darker. And I'm going to take pure white. This is still not bright white enough. Right in here. I'm going to brush that out. If I had a little bristle brush that was this size, that'd be perfect. Because when you're doing this with the synthetics, you actually damage the brushes. So just be careful. Okay. So just at this point, all you're gonna do is basically come in, and where you see the highlights, put them back in, dry them, make them stronger if necessary, because we have to, in the next stage, come back over this with orange and yellow. And if it's not opaque enough, you're not going to be able to see. You're not going to be able to see the colors. I really want to punch this up right here. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. A bit more here. Need to hit that hard here. So think of where you see light. Okay. Look, look, look. Oh, you know where I did miss? I did miss right up here. Because the light, whoopsie, the light is very, the highlight is very dark. So that's going to be quite an orange. And I missed one right here as well. Perfect, perfect, perfect. All right, I think we're good. I think we're good. Right at the corner here. So when you're sure that you've got your highlights the strongest that you want them to be, it's your brush. Now this has to be dry because when we glaze over with the yellow oranges, if your paint is wet, all you're going to end up is a cream color like this. But with your paint being dry, perfectly dry, when you glaze the color is actually not going to physically mix together. It's going to be an optical layer. And if you have glazing medium, that will work too. I do as well, but there's some drying time involved. All right, so now let's glaze over some yellows and some oranges. So go to a clean area of the palette or tear another sheet off. And I'm going to go into the yellow. And first, a little blending medium. I can just cover the whole. We're putting just so very little on there. And you'll also need your big round brush. Actually, I'm not going to use this brush. I changed my mind. I'm just going to use the round brush because I have so much control over that brush. A little bit of blending medium in the yellow as well. That's a little bit intense. I'm going to go into a little bit of orange with the yellow. There we go. And I'm going to roll my brush. Now I'm going to bring it to a point because I want to get that edge. And see everywhere where it's white, when you go over with the yellow, look at that beautiful color. Oh, wow. Now you don't need to worry about losing all that beautiful highlight. We're going to come back once this is dry and still come back with the white and hit it again. Where the highlights are a little bit darker, you're going to come in just with the orange. Okay. And make sure when you go to the bright yellow that you always clean your brush first in clean water. And when you're doing glazing, so let's say your curtain was blue. If you're going to glaze yellow over the blue, you're going to get green. I'm going to pick up a little bit of white. It is so intense right here. Beautiful, beautiful. And now the yellow. There's a little bit of yellow right here, just not too much because this is actually, there's no wine here. I just didn't want it to be too white. We are going to come back over this with white. I just wanted to warm up that light a little bit. And here you're going to take that orangey yellow right here, right there, and the orangey yellow right here, because you got the light coming through the wine, which is also reflecting onto the table through the glass. And a little bit of yellow on the bottom side. Now, don't take blue to go here because you're going to end up turning that green. Take crimson, pure, with the round brush that's now sort of been flattened. And you're just going to put a line almost in the middle, like so. Okay, that's pretty good. That is pretty good. You're going to go back with crimson as well on the inside of the glass, just so you can just see a hint of the reflection, just a little bit. What I'm doing is just kind of deepening a little bit because of the curtain in the back. Deepening, showing through the glass. This is still a little bit far, so I'm going to bring that over a little bit more. I made this line a little bit thick. I'm not going to worry about it. I'm just going to go with a little bit of crimson over that. Okay, and I'm looking, where do I want to make the brightest lights? I'm going to dip into thick white paint on my round brush, and I know that I want it even thicker right here. This is just white highlight now, right there. White highlight there. Touch it here, here, and you don't need to cover everything that you've got there. I'm just enhancing it. Now everything else is really small, so I'm going to go with my little liner brush in white, and I'm just going to roly so I can get a nice point, and I'm going to enhance the white there, enhance a white spot right there, enhance a white spot right here. So, and go right over here, just a little bit thicker paint here. There's actually a line here which, because in the photograph, right here is very dark, so there's actually a line showing. Because I didn't put the dark panel over too far, I'm not putting that dark panel through the wine glass. You can if you want, if you've done your glass like that. Okay, oops, that's crooked. You can't make your highlight crooked. Broken, yes. Crooked, no. Here we go. Beautiful. I'm going to touch up this area here a little bit. I'm going to go with a little brush and go in with red. Now, see what I'm doing here? The white isn't quite dry. As I'm going over with the red, it's turning more pink. Okay, so you got to make sure that your paint is dry first. See, it's turning pink. All right, so let's dry it. Then you'll see the difference. I'm coming with my little my big round brush. And now I'm going to go into basically in crimson and blue. And we're just going to fix this part here. Now, look what I did. Don't do this yet. Look how intense that is. Now that's going to dry that way, because we didn't put any blending medium down. So if I just pat it, okay, see, you can see a line there. So this is why if you have the blending medium, it's always a benefit to using that, because it'll blend so beautifully. And see, now we glazed right over that red. Now it's not pink anymore. And again, following the photograph, this is correct. But I didn't put the dark behind here. So I have to make sure that I follow what I did in my own piece. Okay, and I'm just gonna, the white is dry, so I'm just gonna make a line here. This is where the top of the stem sits on top of the top of the glass sits on top of the stem, like so. Really emphasize that. I need to make this a little bit rounder. So doing this again, definitely going to re-sketch everything out. I didn't think I'd have this much trouble seeing it, to be honest with you. Now because the actual curtain is dark here, I can just darken this part here just a little bit. Not too much. And remember, because there's the front of the glass, back of the glass, and the wine here, this part will be darker than here, because here it's just 2 layers of glass. And here, so this will be darker, this will be a tad lighter, and this will be lightest. This here will be just a tad darker than what's there. So we have 2 layers of glass, the wine, 2 layers of glass, 1 layer of glass, and then the raw curtain. And I'm just making some little, tiny little touch-ups, nothing fancy. We're pretty well set. We're pretty well set. And where else? Now, if you're going over with crimson, you can carefully go right over the yellow to blend that a little bit. If you were painting this as red wine, oh, it would be beautiful. You can actually change this to red wine just by glazing over with the crimson. See what I'm doing? See? That actually sounds like a really good idea. So let's try that. Why don't you change this to red wine? I like that pink, you know that? I really like that pink. Remember, the curtain is here. And glazing over the yellow. Oh, that's kind of pretty. Now, if you've done this and you don't like it, you don't need to repaint it. Take a paper towel and just pull out with your paper towel. And then you have your light back. But I need to put that line back in there. And we are done. Pretty cool, eh? Pretty cool. I'm going to come in with some of the purple and just... Purple, let's get some purple in water. And just... And hopefully those lines will stay. sometimes you make these lines, it's more just water than paint. There we go. Let's dry this and then we'll see what we have. This looks like an actual water drop that went on the stem, which is okay. But I'm just going to clean it up with a little bit of red, which will be more what the table color is. Just a little bit of a cleanup. It's a reflection. It's not a water drop. But you know what? The paint police wasn't invited to this party, so you can do whatever you want. And I also, this is not really what I want it to look like. So with that deep purple, yeah, they're a band. Deep purple. Just going to go over that because I'm going to add it back in. And those lines didn't really stay too well. So I'm just going to quickly just dry this. Okay. And I'm going to now go in with some white. And we're going to try this again. I'm making it more round. That's better. That is better. And just basically re-emphasizing the highlights right under the glass. There we go. Okay. And because paint dries darker, so wherever you need to punch it up with a bit more white, punch it up. I love this. This is so beautiful. This is a little tiny little spot there. Yeah, beautiful. You know what? I didn't go over far enough. I love painting in layers with the traditions because it's a matte finish. The paint grabs beautifully. I just love the way the paint is grabbing. Okay. There we go. Take a little bit of orange now. And I'm just going to knock back just a few of these little that was Mia's, not Mia, Chaos's food bowl rotating. A little bit of the yellow. It's more orange. Glaze over that because I saw it was dry. There we go. And I would say at this point now we are really finished. And then this is where you would then touch it up as you see fit. Okay, so where depending on your painting style, if you're more realistic, you're going to be doing a lot more blending, more details, more layers. And if you want to have fun with just more shapes and colors and stuff like that, you're going to leave it exactly the way it is. It's completely up to you. I love the look of impressionistic paintings. I love art that looks like a painting, not a photograph. Which is funny because when I was younger, I didn't understand paintings of the old masters like Da Vinci and Monet and all those. I just didn't get it. But now it all makes sense. A little bit of orange. There. So there we go. So this is ready to go as it is. So if you're painting this on actual canvas, let dry, then you can coat it with a layer of varnish, which will further protect it. Now, if you're going to be doing a painting like this, this is a great study. And now I know what I would need to change to do this on a canvas. And the first thing is basically I would need to resketch because I just couldn't see my lines. But if you're putting this as a kitchen painting, and let's say in a dark, a humid area of your house, let's say your kitchen, basement, if you've got humidity in your basement, put a couple of layers of varnish. And if you're going to be putting it into an area that has a lot of high traffic, so let's say in an entranceway or in a kitchen that's closer to your stove where the humidity is very high, try even satin or a gloss finish because you can easily wipe down the painting. On a matte finish, it's easier, it's harder to wipe down because of the matte finish. Think of it like it's porous, and the dust will get trapped in there more. And if it's matte, it just feels like velvet. It's beautiful. With the gloss, though, you can come in with just a damp cloth and just go over it. All right. So I absolutely love this, and this is gonna, and you can still see a little bit of the gold from the actual Book of Backgrounds thing and all the creases from the technique from before. Absolutely love this. Now I hope that you enjoyed this workshop, and I would, I'd love to see, your take on it. Feel free to play with it as much as you want, and just to give you an example, I can come in now. More crimson. I've got all this paint on the palette. Why not waste it? More crimson, like so. And fade it out. Now as it fades out, the color is going to break. See what I mean? The breaking. Okay, that's a really cool look. I think it looks really neat. If you're doing this in a journal, this is the purpose of the journal, is for you to experiment. So you can do all your playing before actually going onto a canvas. I can take straight blue now and load blue right on here. Back and forth, work it outwards. The only part I'm being very careful on is right here, making sure that that stays straight. See? So let's see then we'll see how fast this dries. See, look at that. The camera's having a fit trying to focus though. See? And as you work it up, it gets darker and darker and darker. I use the paper on a bit of an angle to see when it's actually fully dried. See the difference? It's huge. That difference was huge. Okay? You can come in now with a bit more red. Keeping in mind that this needs to be straight, and a filbert brush will round its edges, so just be very careful right here. Take some red, splash there. Okay. See what it looks like dry. Because the colors are semi-transparent, they will not totally cover what's underneath. So really you can take advantage of this. This is where you punch things up. Isn't that just beautiful? Oh, I love it. And you can go even further. I can take some more crimson right here. And just gently against the glass. Go up. I'm probably in the way. If you want to deepen this. Now be careful though, because the deeper you put this part here behind the glass, the deeper you have to put this part. Because the glass part has to be darker than the actual background. But But I'm just putting just a little something. Just fade that over. There we go. Okay. Now, if you really wanted to, you can hit that with a bit more orange. It's completely up to you. But you get the idea of what I'm trying to explain. And if you don't, feel free to, my information's at the end of the video. Feel free to contact me, visit my website, contact me. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions that you might have. So I hope that you enjoyed this, and I can't wait to see you work. So until next time, stay inspired.